Another, the Oklahoma City Thunder, quietly, almost silently, having one of the great seasons in history, taking on the Pistons last night, and it was SGA early. He didn't have a particularly good shooting night last night, just 10 of 26. Thunder up 6 at the half, but then SGA stepping back, knocking down the three. 69 consecutive games with at least 20 points for SGA. We'll explain the history on that one coming up in a few minutes. Now, 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Thunder, the lead down to 6. But, Alan, when Lou Dort is going to get this roll, you know it's going to be your night.
Yeah, it's a friendly bounce, the home rims, and certainly for Lou Dort, he has developed that three-point shot into a weapon.
He scored 14 last night. SGA looking to put it away. He had a game-high 33. So SGA, or should we call him MVP, and the Thunder win their 11th straight, 119 to 103. They are the second team in history to win 50 games by double digits, joining the 71-72 Lakers. That team had Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West and won 69 games and the NBA championship. It is considered one of the greatest teams of all time. This OKC team is probably not getting enough attention for what it is doing this year. Alan Hahn, the historic, and I have a whole essay coming up a little bit later this morning to put into perspective the history this team is making. We know they're the best team in basketball. Right now, they may be even better than that.
Yeah, when you think about the amount of wins that they're putting together, what they're doing at home, the fact they've only lost to an Eastern Conference team one time this whole season. I mean, that is incredible, the year that they're having. But as we all know, you're judged by now what you do with these great seasons. Can you get that championship? And we all know the 73-win Warrior team was not able to do that, and they'll always have to carry that.
Marcus, I was telling you in our meeting this morning, I covered the 96 Bulls, the team that won 72 games, which at the time was the record. At the time was the first team ever to win 70. And they had a mantra, basically, that started in December, which was, it don't mean a thing if you don't get the ring. So this regular season has been brilliant. But is this your pick to win the championship?
It's not. It's not. This team, it's not deep enough, right? You have to talk about the depth. You have to talk about the guys that actually been there. When you talk about the lights, it's way different, right? This team has been healthy all season. They have a young gun that they have brought into the MVP of the league and has been playing out of his mind, right? What happens when they double team him? Who's the second guy? Who's the third guy? Who has experience to go to the guys when it gets a little rough, right? They've been playing really well this year, really well. There haven't been a lot of downs. But what happens when that happens?
They are going to be the second youngest team ever to be a 1 seed since seeding began. The only one younger was themselves last year. But they did go through a little bit of a playoff run last year. They won a series. They lost a tough one in the second round. That's not enough experience in your mind for them to go through whatever it's going to take to get through the West?
Definitely not. Let's go back a little bit. I was on the Boston Celtics team, right, when Jason Tatum was a rookie, when Jaylen Brown was in his second season. We got to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost against a LeBron James team, right? That's getting down to the mix. That's getting your feet wet and seeing what it's like to get to the mountaintop and getting knocked down and have something to prepare for in the second season. They do not have enough guys that's been through that.
All right, we'll talk more about that as we go. Shams, in the meantime, let's put into perspective what this franchise is, what this team is right now, and one person who deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, Sam Presti and that Thunder organization, I don't think gets talked about enough in terms of how you put a team together. It doesn't happen just overnight. They get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They've drafted really well. Chet Holmgren, I think last night, I don't know if we showed his highlight. He might have been the best player for the Thunder last night. You watched how they played. But 2 moves they've made over the last 4 years. One, drafting Josh Giddey. That allowed them to go get Alex Caruso. And then another move that went way under the radar. No one looks at it. They traded Trey Mann, Vasilije Micic, and Davis Bertans for Gordon Hayward. And at the time, everyone was like, oh, they got Gordon Hayward. They got Gordon Hayward because they had an expiring $30 million contract. What did that turn into? Isaiah Hartenstein. So they've been able to draft well. They've been able to add to their team, and they still have dozens of first-round picks, dozens of swaps, dozens of second-round picks. If they ever, down the road, wanted to go get a big gun, potentially.
And we'll see if they wind up doing that. They may have the biggest gun in the league right now in SGA, I understand.
Sure.
But maybe go pair him with somebody. Holmgren had 22 points and 11 boards, to your point. As we approach the bottom of the hour, before we go farther, the Knicks legend Walt Clyde Frazier celebrated his 80th birthday Sunday at the Garden. And Alan, you celebrated it with him in the most appropriate of fashion.
Allen got some swag right now.
I like that.
Now, full disclosure, that's Clyde's jacket.
Oh.
He loaned you the
We are
jacket.
literally the
You
same
didn't have to
size.
tell me that. I mean, I don't.
You don't think I have that in my
Did
closet?
I think you just brought that from home?
Every now and then you got to let them know.
Hey.
Well, the hat, the bolero.
With the hat and the what are you, like a hitman from a 40s movie?
You remember the famous Walt, Clyde, Frazier photo is him in front of the Rolls Royce.
Yes, but it looks very
Borsalino.
different on him than it does on you somehow.
Naturally, it does, yes. But
Yes.
look, it's trying to pay homage, and every now and then you got to let people know that if I had to, I can.
So you're not the only person at this table who has at one time or another emulated Walt Frazier in your wardrobe. When I was a boy, I slept in New York Knicks number 10 footy pajamas. Remember the pajamas that had little feet on them? Like, you know, remember those?
Yeah.
I did. New York Knicks number 10. Yeah, I wore those up until I was like 25. I slept in those, and because he was my favorite player ever when I was growing up. So I thought that was funnier than that. Okay, let's show the Knick highlight from last night. Knicks and Cavs. Work with me here, guys. Karl-Anthony Towns
We're a
of the
little
Knicks
ashamed of you.
visiting Cleveland. Everyone ashamed of me. Mid-third quarter, Karl-Anthony Towns. He had 25 and 13. Few possessions later, though, Allen, it would be Donovan Mitchell taking the game over.
And he did because OG Anunoby got into foul trouble and he couldn't guard him anymore. And that's exactly what Donovan Mitchell wanted because he couldn't get anything going early. But man, did he get it going late.
Yeah, he had 9 points in the third quarter. The Cavs turning a deficit into a lead, and he nails the step back two there. The Cavs a 6-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and then more from Mitchell in that fourth as the Knicks continue to struggle against the top teams in the East.
It has been, the issue has been for them the depth, because when you get to the bench, you can't match up. Cleveland's got a great bench, even without Ty Jerome. They just bring in guys. DeAndre Hunter, impact player that they picked up. That depth is going to be tough to match up with in a playoff series.
27 for Mitchell last night as the Cavaliers get the win. So to point it out, the Knicks are now 0-6 against the Cavs and Celtics this year. They've lost those games by an average of 21 points. 4 of their 5 worst losses this season have come to Cleveland and Boston. And the bad news, look, the Knicks are having a very good year, but the bad news is it's Cleveland and Boston they're going to have to deal with if they're going to do anything substantial this year. In the reverse order, they would get Boston in the second round. That's just the way this thing is going to line up if both those teams get out of there. And you have concerns about the Knicks, and what are they?
First of all, if they match up with Boston or Cavaliers, it's a nightmare, right? They don't have enough depth. I'm a big Knicks fan, but I do not trust anybody that's coming off the bench. This is a 5-man team, right? You're going into the playoff with 5 guys that you trust. Who has confidence? Who's been there before that's coming off the bench? Who can step in if an injury does happen?
Well, the one good news for that is that Tom Thibodeau never brings anybody off the bench. I remember the playoffs of last year, like all those guys were playing like 42, 43, 46, 48 minutes, so it may not matter. But that brings up a question that a lot of people in New York ask, which is, does he play these guys too much in the regular season?
One of the players came out and said it.
Yes,
Mikal
Bridges said it.
Earlier in the season, right?
Yes.
It's not that it's from game 1 to game 82. Where is the in-between? When are you resting these guys to get ready? Because as a basketball player and as a guy that's been in the playoffs, the level goes up another notch. Do these guys have enough injuries? If somebody go down, who comes in that he has confidence, that actually has confidence in their self? Because a lot of them haven't been playing all season.
Alan, it's obviously something we've heard about Tom Thibodeau forever, going back. You're with this team day in, day out. Is that question/criticism fair?
It's fair, but also understand the people you're dealing with. I mean, the Villanova guys don't want to load manage. That's a real thing. Like, you ask them to sit out a game for rest, they're not doing it. They want to play. And that is also a part of what has become their culture there. Tom Thibodeau always talks about the most important game is tonight's game. They don't worry about tomorrow. They don't worry about that stuff. They try to get as many wins as they can. That's just what they do. But is the depth thing going to be an issue because they're extremely top heavy? Yes. And that's why I feel like there's still one transaction cycle away from being a team that can contend.
So,
It's an issue now. Sorry to cut you off. It's almost an issue now. You have Jalen Brunson that's been out for these games. Yes, he sprained his ankle, but if it's not Jalen Brunson, if Bridges go down, if Karl-Anthony Towns have to miss a game, you don't want injuries to happen because you want this Knicks team to be full and ready to
And
go.
we haven't seen that, Marcus. Again, when you see the 0-6 against the Celtics and Cavs, we can make all the excuses about schedule, about what they have never been whole, including Mitchell Robinson, who changes their defense completely. We have not seen that group yet on the floor against these teams, and the first time we might is in the playoffs.
Let's talk about that transaction cycle, because you and I told you yesterday, Shams, that I walk the streets of the city and people yell at me, are we getting KD, are we getting Giannis? So I will ask you on their behalf, are they getting KD or Giannis?
Mike, I said this yesterday. The Knicks have made 3 big trades in the last calendar year. They got OG Anunoby, They got Mikal Bridges, and then they got Karl Anthony Towns. There's only so many big moves you can make. They don't have an allotment of first-round picks at their disposal anymore either. I think a lot will be predicated this transaction cycle in the offseason on how the playoffs go, right? For not only the Knicks, let's talk about Kevin Durant, for example. He's arguably going to be the biggest name on this upcoming trade offseason. What does the market look like for him? There was mutual interest with Minnesota, with Houston, with New York, with San Antonio, and Miami. A lot will be predicated on which of those teams loses early. Which team feels like they're a Kevin Durant away from winning a championship? Could that be the Knicks? Potentially.
Yeah, and that's why right now headlines are being written the minute you finish that sentence about Kevin Durant to the Knicks, because that will be the chatter, and that's what's going to happen, because it does here in New York. It's going to in Houston, of course, as well. The teams that feel like they're one piece away, and of course it's going to be what's the cost.
Well, you believe the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Luka Doncic and LeBron James, can win the NBA championship this year.
32-13 in conference play in the Western Conference. The OKC Thunder is only 35-11. They're neck and neck with the supposedly best team, right? They have injuries all season. They just got the Luka Doncic trade. Their bench and their depth is ready, right? You have Dorian Finney-Smith. AR is playing the best basketball, averaging 20 points. You have three guys that can get a basket at any time. LeBron James' IQ is through the roof, and now he has possibly one of the best playoff scorers in the league.
Yeah, no, I mean, Luka Doncic, we were talking this morning, has he ever had a teammate who could score the way Doncic does in the playoffs? Maybe peak Kyrie in Cleveland, but even that, maybe not.
They're the scariest duo in the NBA when it comes to a playoff series. Wouldn't they be the scariest duo in the NBA to play in a playoff series? Because as we've talked about this before, when you power rank the star players in a series, the team that has the most, the top players, they're going to win the series, or at least they're supposed to. And that's what the Lakers have. And the supporting cast is what everybody's going to watch, is do they have enough guys that can knock down those kick-out threes, the space threes, that are going to allow their offense to continue? Because they have defenders. They have really good wing defenders. You mentioned a couple of them, Marcus, that they can switch. They can do everything you want. But if they're not hitting, if Gabe Vincent's not in some corner threes, if you're not getting it from Vanderbilt, if you're not some other people that have to step up in big spots, that's going to cost them.
Can I put up C25, Cindy? Because to sort of illustrate this point, with Denver losing last night, the Lakers wake up this morning as the 3 seed in the Western Conference. They have the tiebreaker with the Nuggets. Lakers play the Warriors, by the way, tonight, which should be a fascinating game. And the 2 seed is still, in theory, within reach because they will play each other. The Lakers will play the Rockets, so they'll get a chance to try and make a move there. This obviously is a compelling story for a million different reasons, Shams, as we see the Lakers trying to make their moves here and how this all is going to wind up in the standings in the first-round matchups.
Greeny, my biggest concern with the Lakers was their front court depth, and that's Jackson Hayes. That at the trade deadline, that was the issue, and that's something that the Lakers themselves acknowledged. Like, we have a gaping hole. Rob Pelinka makes the trade for Mark Williams. They rescind it. They don't get Mark Williams. But Jackson Hayes, like the way he's played the second half of the season, I look at it, that's the Luka Doncic effect to me. The way he makes guys around him better, especially big men, that's a massive, I think, sign for them. Positive sign. But where's that depth coming into play?
Watch all that Derek Lively film. Just do what he's doing, right?
So if you, Marcus, were going to bet that, I don't even know where you live, but wherever your palatial estate is, if you were going to bet it on one team to come out of the Western Conference this year, which one would you pick?
I'm going to stay with the Lakers. I have to go
You're going to pick the Lakers.
I'm going to stay with the Lakers. Luka Doncic, what he done last year, right? Kyrie was a big part of that team, but Luka Doncic basically put Dallas on his back and carried them to the finals, right? He, like we talk about the big guys, he made them good. He throwing lobs to the rim. Jackson Hayes is benefiting, and you're seeing peak Jackson Hayes when Luka Doncic got to the Lakers, right? He knows how to put these guys in the right position.
Jackson Hayes is shining right now.
Man,
he's great.
Listen, he's
and then, oh, by the way, LeBron James. How about the role that he plays in all of this? I'm watching LeBron James looking fresh at the ends of games. Obviously, the groin injury is one thing, but looking fresher at the ends of games because the pressure is not on him to handle the ball for the previous 46 minutes. And defending all 5 positions when they need him to, doing things even at the age of 40 that very few players in history could do.
We're seeing a guy that LeBron James can get off the ball, like you said earlier, and Luka Doncic can control the game. He can get in transition, he can post up, he can switch, right? You could play him a little bit at the 5 and spread the floor and leave it open. LeBron James has a chance now to see the game in different ways and have the highest IQ, if not the highest IQ in the NBA, to be able to put himself in these positions with a guy like Luka Doncic controlling the ball, along with AR. He's playing really well, 20 points a game. He's going to have the third best defender guarding him. So listen, the floor will be wide open, and that'll just be interesting to see how we get.
Austin Reeves has gotten so good so quickly that all of a sudden he's just known by his initials.
AR.
Right?
AR.
I remember when he was Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden he's
He
just
earned
AR.
that. He earned that.
But in first reference, he's now that, right?
And everybody knows who you're talking about.
He's that
I'm
good.
also fascinated, real quick, to see J.J. Redick in a playoff series because he's starting to show us some strategic moves that he has in certain matchups during the regular season that he's taken a little extra serious. We have seen him come up with some game plans that are going to make some theories.
I don't even think he's got started yet.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves, J.J. Redick, very, very true golf buddies.
Yeah.
And that has carried over to the basketball court.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I tell you, the one thing about JJ taking this job, it's a lot harder to get him to get a tee time. It used to be a lot easier when
They
he
can
was
align their
working here.
schedules, though.